After the actual shooting, I went through a process. A lot of people won't be honest because their image would be up. They've been through the actual experience, but I went through a portion of me actually being afraid and experience because I was hurt physically. I was hurt bad, so I was afraid and I wasn't comfortable with being afraid. And the only time I wasn't afraid is when I was actively involved in actually looking for somebody connected to it. You look at the bushes. When I see the bushes, I look through the bushes. The paranoia from the experience of actually being hurt heightens your senses to everything, the possibilities of things happening. It shifted me. It's either when you get hurt that bad, either your fear consumes you or you'll become a bit insensitive and you'll start to approach the problem instead of run from it.
What's up, guys? I'm Jamal Nolan. On this week's episode of Culture Breakdown, we're going to be taking a look at Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, unique self-help book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. And when I say unique, I mean unique. I mean, this is 50 Cent. So, of course, he's going to give you all the tea. There's shots fired. And he talk about his relationship with his son, Floyd Mayweather, Chelsea Handler, Tekashi 6ix9ine. Look, I'm not here to give you all the details. I'm here to break down life-changing principles courtesy of Curtis Jackson. This is Culture Breakdown. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and bell notification because every single week I'm bringing you the why behind the success of the most influential people in black culture. So if you're unfamiliar with what I do here on Culture Breakdown, I break down life-changing principles every single week from influential people. And the beautiful part about this week is 50 Cent does it for me. I mean, he wrote the book and it's just like Culture Breakdown. Every single principle, he give you life stories, he give you breakdown, analytical facts. It's crazy. But he also shows you how he applied it in his real life. Now, there are 9 principles in this book, and many of them I feel like we've discussed before on this channel. So if I come across one, I'll be sure to link it above and below. We're going to go through each chapter, but there are 3 chapters that I feel like are very key elements to 50 Cent's success and some things that I feel like we can pull from and use in our everyday life. Thank you so much, 50 Cent, for this book and these principles. Let's get right into the breakdown. Now, chapter number 1, Finding Fearlessness. This is the first chapter of the book, and it's my first key principle.
It's absolutely something that I developed over time because, I think I have the same emotions everyone else does. I just have a way to suppress those feelings in different circumstances and situations. I can kind of adjust.
50 Cent discusses being a youth and getting into the boxing gym and having to face his fear there and literally punching fear in the face. And then he also discussed the fear and the trauma that came after being shot 9 times.
I knew I was about to die. I don't know why I was expecting my father to rescue me. I realized I've been looking for him all my life.
What I realized is a lot of us live life with fear. He said something in the book to the effect of everything that's bad in his life has already happened. He's very fearless in the way that he approaches the situation. And what I find so unique about this principle and why I made it a key principle is it's just so valuable to have fearlessness when you're dealing with entertainment, but it's also valuable to have fearlessness in life in general. I feel like a lot of us are afraid of failure and a lot of us are afraid of being told no. And something that I've always lived by is you have to fail forward, first of all. So there's going to be failures in life, but you have to learn from those failures. And also, I feel like if you are afraid of being told no, you haven't heard no enough. So go out there and get more no's, and then it gets you closer to yes. And every yes that you get is another win under your belt. So finding fearlessness is my first key principle, just attacking life in fearlessness. And if you listen to 50 Cent and you listen to the book, he give you real practical principles on how to achieve that. Chapter number 2, Heart of a Hustler. Now in this chapter, he really talks about having a hustler's mentality and bringing it from the streets and taking it to the corporate world. One of the key things that stood out in this chapter to me was the story about the lawyer Isaac, which is what 50 Cent's For Life TV show is based off of. If you haven't seen that show, please check it out, but I'll give you a brief description. It's basically a guy who was wrongfully convicted. He spent his entire prison time learning law, and he was able to reverse his life sentence and get himself out of prison. Now he's a lawyer in the same city that wrongfully convicted him.
I used to be just like you. I had a wife I loved. I had a family and a home. But then something happened. I've been walking through this storm myself. I, Aaron Wallace, I'm serving a life sentence for something I didn't do. Except today, for the first time, I've got a way to fight back. How are you here? Hard work and goodwill. What's your method?
And why 50 Cent talked about that is just having laser focus, having a singular goal and being focused in on it at all times. He was saying, like, imagine all the distractions and stuff that you can have in prison and still being able to be focused, like locked in. I remember he said, no pun intended, he was locked in. And it's just so incredible to have that kind of mentality and just to think that way. Just get focused and locked in on your life and having the heart of a hustler. Man, you're going to take it far. Chapter number 3, constructing your crew. Now, I've discussed building a team on this channel several times, so I'll link a few videos above and below. But just if you think about 50 Cent in his career, he came in with G-Unit. He had a crew from the beginning, and it was a very strong crew. Now, he talks about the ups and the downs of his crews and how he was able to maneuver through the music business with some of the loose cannons that he had in his crew. But the main principle there was building a strong crew of people that can help you succeed in life. He was telling you that many moguls will tell you that their biggest reason behind their success is the team that they have surrounded themselves with. Chapter number 4 and key principle number 2, know your value. Now, I believe this principle is so invaluable because a lot of us as creators, as entrepreneurs, will take the first check that comes. And 50 Cent said he never does anything for the money. He always does it based off the opportunity it presents and what it can hold down the line for the future. And I think this is so important because me, myself, I think about these deals and things that can come to me in the future. And I always think that, man, I would jump on the first opportunity I possibly get. And listen to this chapter kind of put me at pause.
I want to sell water. And he was like what? I said, I want to sell water. He's like, to who? I said, everybody need water. Like, you know, it might have been an easier concept for him if I said I wanted to sell liquor.
So you bought the company?
No, so I ended up having about almost 10% of it.
And it was sold to Coca-Cola for 100, you made 100 million?
Well, 4.1 billion they actually sold the company for. I did pretty good. I had a non-disclosure agreement, so I couldn't actually say exactly how much I made, but I can show you all my teeth.
Okay.
So I think this principle is very valuable, but there's a fine line. You can't overvalue yourself and you can't undervalue yourself. You have to actually know your value. Something that I think we all have to understand is if you build an audience, you create a product, and people are coming to you, you have the leverage. You always have the leverage if they're coming to you. Something that 50 Cent said is the first offer that anybody makes you, whether it's friends, family members, or a corporation, the first offer they make you is never the best offer they can give. And that's important. That's important to understand, man. I think a lot of us just take the first thing that comes, but we have to also be willing to push back a little bit. That's not going to ruin your position or kill your negotiations. You have to be willing to know your value and wait for the right opportunity to come about. Valuable principle. Know your value. Now, chapter number 5 is evolve or die. That's pretty self-explanatory. You just got to be able to adapt with the times. What's popping? Is it social media? Is it online marketing? Is it outdoor marketing? What is it that's going to allow you to be the most productive and seen the most? He discusses some of his things with Instagram and how he uses Instagram to grow as an influencer, as well as his Twitter account. He never sees anything as a negative. He always just sees it as an opportunity to grow.
Baking soda. I got baking soda. What, nigga? Give me a piece of this cheese. What?
Now, chapter number 6 is the power of perception. What I really like about this principle is 50 Cent kind of shows you duality between Curtis Jackson and 50 Cent. He says that anytime he does something wrong or something controversial, he's titled as 50 Cent the Rapper. Anytime he does something positive and something that moves the culture forward, he's known as the mogul 50 Cent. He said instead of harping on the negative part about it, being labeled as a rapper, he just used it as an opportunity to leverage himself. He said 50 Cent is the persona, Curtis Jackson is the reality, and 50 Cent can do whatever he wants to, essentially, and it protects Curtis Jackson. The way we can benefit from this is to accept the perception that we have, feed into it, and capitalize off of it. Chapter number 7, if we can't be friends. Now, this is key principle number 3. And the reason why this is key principle number 3 is because I love this chapter. Basically, the way he put this together is if we can't be friends, then we might as well be enemies. There's value in having enemies and there's value in having friends.
Nah, she don't like me. Because I'm looking and there's so many different impressions at different points. And not to say that those things were wrong, but I was saying if I can't be a friend, at least let me be an enemy so I coexist.
Oh.
You know, and the audience
That's interesting.
When I put out How to Rob, and it was like mentioning all of the artists because they portray a lifestyle that represents the 1% of our population that is financially in a great space. So I wrote the record and I said, I know that this will get some attention, and then it worked. It actually got a response from Jay-Z.
And the way 50 Cent see it is, they both are beneficial to you and to your brand. Something that you guys may have noticed or may not have noticed is that controversy sells. If you have a problem with somebody that's bigger than you, kind of like 50 Cent's beef with Oprah, then you can use that to fuel and propel your career to the next level. And all that does is bring attention to your social media platforms, and it allows you to leverage that and grow. This is by far probably my favorite principle of all times on Culture Breakdown. Just knowing that you don't have to make friends with everybody. Your critics are going to speak just as much about you as your supporters do. And understanding that it's value in both. I think that there's a quote that Floyd Mayweather used to use, which he says, whether you pay to watch me win or you pay to watch me lose, the cost of admission is the same. Chapter number 8, learn from your L's. I think I spoke about this a little bit earlier. It's just learning from your losses. Don't look at them as losses. Look at them as learning opportunities. Change that L from loss to learning opportunity. And 50 Cent talk about all the L's, perceived L's that he took in his career. And he talked about how that helped him get his next deal. How that helped him turn his next brand into a bigger thing. I think this principle is also always common when you listen to huge moguls and entrepreneurs. It's just valuing the learning experience that you go through in life. There will be losses and there will be wins. In the last chapter, chapter number 9, the entitlement trap. This is just not feeling like you are owed something because you know this person or you're owed something because of relationships. This is just flat out working for what you want. Don't ever think that anybody owes you anything. And that's my breakdown on 50 Cent's Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter book. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to check out this book to get a more in-depth, detailed feel on each and every one of these principles. This is one of my favorite books now because it's just broken down just like my channel. And he basically is giving you life principles from himself. And I love it. I listened to it multiple times already and I'm into it. So please check out this book. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next week, I'm out.